From the glow of St. Paul's number 1, welcome to another edition of Cabin Country. Give us the time and we'll take you out of the traffic and away from the levee. Let's find the place where the loons call out among the moonlit waves, where the wind sighs among the Norway pines. Pull up a dock chair, have a sip of your coffee, and get a line in the water. This is Cabin Country. Now here's Bjorn Lloydstead, and I'm Fud Klugman with another woodland escape.
Good afternoon, and look who's here. It looks like Bjorn and Fud from the Cabin Country podcast, eh?
That's right. Good to see you, Paul.
Good to see you too. And you're from St. Paul in Oakdale?
That's right.
Yes, indeed, Paul. We are, in fact, in the Oakdale studios, and thank you for welcoming us. My name is Bjorn Lloydstead, but I have been known to answer to Bjorn.
Especially if he's a 40-foot-tall giant.
That's right.
Maybe you're not going to argue.
Not going to argue. He can call me whatever he wants, without a doubt. But what a treat to finally be able to bring you the Paul Bunyan Land episode. No more toying with it. We're going to bring you the episode where we got to tour Paul Bunyan Land, meet the new owners, and they would tell us all about the wonders of their new acquisition.
It's the family of Dick Rademacher, who's had a business up in the Brainerd area for many years now.
Drove past it for decades.
And what was it?
I like marine welding.
Oh, okay.
You know, a lot of welding, but also did marine kind of stuff. I just remember we'd cross the road and start heading towards Brainerd itself. I mean, it was when we passed Rademacher after that kind of four-way stop.
Mm-hmm.
It was on the left. I'd say, there's Rademacher Marine and Welding, and we are almost to Brainerd. It's within a minute. We'll be rounding that corner.
So that's on the intersection of 25 and 18.
Right.
Okay. So the new Paul Bunyan Land is located about, 6-7 miles down 18.
Sure.
Dick Rademacher, he's been collecting things, old cars,
everything,
gas, everything you can imagine. And so, about 16 years ago, Paul Bunyan Land became the latest big collector's item for him and his family. We had the great opportunity to speak to Dick's daughter, Lois.
Yes.
And she explained how they acquired Paul Bunyan Land.
We, as a family, had the Pioneer Village for close to 40 years. It was just a small mom-and-pop little operation. They opened up on weekends. My dad collected antiques for years and years. Right now we have over 35 buildings.
Oh my gosh.
Fully decorated. So we had that. Adding the amusement park was kind of a no-brainer, actually. Yeah. And because Paul was so iconic for the Brainerd area. We went in approaching to maybe purchase the log cabin there, or maybe the train, to go around our little Pioneer Village. Never did we expect to buy the entire park, but the past owners wanted to keep everything together. At one point we had heard that Paul was going somewhere, Babe was going somewhere, and we thought about it and actually went back in and offered to purchase the entire park and relocate it, which was a huge challenge. But it's worked out. We're opening up our 16th year.
Wow.
Here this year, yeah. So it was a big move. It was a challenge. We kind of learned as we went, but it's been a good move. And now that we have something for everyone here.
One of the fun things was that Lois divulged to Bjorn and I the secret to where Paul's voice comes from.
Good morning.
And we're not going to tell you.
No, that will remain a secret. And
but
you're all clear, Lois. We're not going to blow it. So.
She said with amusement how fun it is to watch people, mostly the adults, look around when you're up by the Paul Bunyan statue and the kids are talking to Paul and he's raising his hand.
Hi everyone, I'm Paul Bunyan.
Oh, and he's actually answering questions.
And he can hear you.
He can hear what you're saying. And
right.
You're making comments that you think are just side comments to your dad. My God, he's big. I hope he can't get up. And no, I would never hurt you. It's glad to have you here.
Oh my gosh,
let's sing a song together. How did he hear me?
So the parents are trying to figure out, all right, where is the man behind the curtain? Pay no attention to that Paul Bunyan voice behind the curtain.
Perhaps there isn't one. Perhaps Paul is real.
And it was pretty fun. Like once Lois, in fact, I think she almost regretted it a tiny bit that she let us know. She let it slip, but it was like,
your secret's
oh
safe with us, Lois.
Gosh, yes, we will not divulge the secret. It's fun. You can keep looking for yourself if you want, but
I remember being about a 7-year-old and being taken by my parents to Paul Bunyan Land back when it was on the corner of the freeways.
Right.
And as Lois said, we didn't want any more blacktop. It should be a nature kind of area, grass and paths, but no more blacktop. And I remember, that's all I remember was blacktop and concrete and the hum of traffic on the roadways.
Right.
But I like the new spot a lot better.
Yeah.
But I remember that freaking me out as a kid. Probably a little gun shy anyway, but here's this gigantic human sitting on his chair. And I'm mumbling asides to my dad, and Paul's answering. And that freaked me out even worse. I was like, oh my gosh, he can hear me.
Yes.
I think I need to go see the log cabin or the arcade or anything.
Let's go away from here.
Yeah.
I remember Bjorn was pretty scared of me.
Oh, I was terrified. But
Now you're older and braver.
That's
Would you like to come up here and have a picture by me?
Oh, I think I better.
Yeah, I think you ought, Bjorn.
All right.
Get ready for the biggest picture.
Do you know how many families have owned Paul Bunyan Amusement Park?
We are the second one.
You're the second.
Yeah.
So the first,
Changing of the guard. Wow.
Yeah.
When did the first one start here?
Paul came into the Brainerd area in the early 50s. He was purchased from some businessmen in the Brainerd area from the Chicago State Fair. Okay. And they had him moved here, and in their mind they kind of knew where it was going. I don't think they knew to what extent they were bringing in, with the talking Paul. Ours is the only one that talks. We're pretty proud of that because we have a little challenge every once in a while with Bemidji and Hackensack and Akeley, who's got the real Paul. Well, ours will tell you he's the real Paul.
Well, that's right.
I won't lie to you, Fud. I was a little gun shy at first. I was like, oh, there's the big guy again. And he seems to know what I'm thinking.
But we even got the picture of Bjorn and myself on one of each of Paul's boots.
That's right.
So that's
he invited us. We couldn't.
Well, that's right.
We couldn't turn the man down.
Yeah.
Come on up here and sit on my boots. Oh, okay.
Well, okay. We'll do that, but
it was an honor. It felt good. It was like, man, this is a piece of northern Minnesota history. To include that in on the Cabin Country. He even called us out by name.
Yes.
Bjorn and Fud from the Cabin Country podcast. Come on up here and sit on a boot. You better believe it. Here we go.
We're going to do it. Yeah, and as I mentioned to Lois, I was so appreciative of how well they are not only keeping it up, but continuing to think of just little touches here and there that just make it all the more fun. Like, there's the little, I think it's a gas-powered engine train that you can get in with your kids.
Right.
And just make a little figure-8 loop around some of the grounds there.
Sure.
And, in fact, there's even a little spot where you'll see dinosaurs. Go back to an early age. But
Brainerd during the Jurassic.
I noticed last year they put up these telephone line poles, and I thought, well, how cool is that?
Well, you have repeat customers, so we always want to add something new. It is a challenge to keep the nostalgic pieces running. Yeah. Luckily, my family is very mechanically inclined, so we are able to do that. Yeah. It's a passion. You have to live and breathe this. I know we're only open 3 months out of the year to the public, but to us, it's a year-round job. As soon as we close down, we are refurbishing, rebuilding, reconstructing, getting ready for something new. And we've got a few acres to expand, but right now we want to concentrate on what we got and maintaining that.
I'm just curious how this got moved. I suppose a series of big flatbed trucks.
Actually, when we purchased the park, we got possession of it the day after Labor Day. That family finished out their summer season.
And what year was that?
2003.
Okay.
Yep. And then we took possession of it at that point after Labor Day, and we literally moved all the rides, the buildings that were able to move in 31 days. At that point, Kohl's purchased that land, and we had a time slot, so we were literally day and night. And where the park sits right now, literally was a cornfield. So we came in, we plopped down the rides, we went back in, deconstructed during the day, come back, and just continued that for 31 days. And Cole's bulldozers were literally right behind us when we pulled out. But one of the last things to move was Paul and Babe. It took a lot of extra time to make Paul presentable to be moved, because he had to be disassembled and then put back together. And to many people, he's real, so we had to preserve that part of it. So actually, he laid down on a trailer. He come across on a trailer. Babe was behind him, and we had a little parade go through town. We went past an elementary school, actually, where I worked at the time, and we had a plan that the whole school was cheering Paul and Babe as they went through town. And then when we got out here, there was a celebration, and it was a big deal, And then from that point, October until May 15th, we worked non-stop. Constructing this building, putting it gift shop, concessions, entryway. We made a new house for Paul. I mean, after 50 years, the guy deserved a log house. So had some wonderful, talented people come in and help us. And we opened up that next May 2004, Memorial Weekend.
It's fun to imagine Paul riding on a big flatbed truck on his back, waving and addressing the crowd along 371 through Brainerd.
Hi everyone, I'm Paul Bunyan. Have a great day, everyone.
We're going to take a short sponsor break, and when we come back, Bjorn and I will take you on a wander through Paul Bunyan Land in Pioneer Village. So don't go away.
I sure do love keeping up with the Cabin Country episodes on the Gas Station Podcast Network. And it's available at most of my favorite fuel stops, Fud.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing to enjoy a brief woodland escape while tending your vehicle's necessities. But let me ask you, Bjorn, you ever find yourself spending so much time on the highways and byways that you haven't taken care of your own necessities?
What are you driving at, Fud?
Well, I don't think I'm overstepping my bounds when I say that hours on the road flying through the fields and forests sometimes leave all of us feeling just a bit irregular.
Ah, yes.
And the good news is that FiberStop fuel stations are still there for all of us.
FiberStop?
Yes, FiberStop, the fuel station that offers the many grades of fuel your vehicle might need, including all the various octane ratings, flex fuel, diesel, and even Rec 90 gasoline for your recreational vehicles and boats. But the real kicker here, Bjorn, is that FiberStop also offers a full range of high-fiber snacks, as well as gastrointestinal medications for the traveler that is feeling that road-weary logy feeling. Stomach upset, indigestion, constipation, or the opposite? No problem. FiberStop has you covered.
And I understand that FiberStop has an amazing selection of high-fiber muffins, scones, and bars in their bakery case.
Baked fresh every morning, Bjorn, and they feature the Gas Station Podcast Network at the pumps as well, alongside the full range of fresh and ready mixed coffee flavors at their coffee bar.
Sounds too good to be true, Fud.
Oh, but it's true, Bjorn. FiberStop keeps you going.
And now back to Bjorn Lloydstead and Fud Klugman in Cabin Country.
Well, so after visiting with Lois and learning about how the family acquired Paul Bunyan Land, Bjorn and I decided to walk the grounds a bit. There's this log cabin that has a miniature animated logging camp. I didn't have any money with me, so we made Bjorn pay. So
I dug deep into trouser pockets.
He dug deep down
Indeed.
and traded a dollar bill and changed it into some quarters, and so we got Sourdough Sam going.
Ciao, ciao. This was the magic word of the land of Paul Bunyan. Paul's axemen ate so many flapjacks, Sourdough Sam couldn't supply the demand.
What did you think of the Sourdough Sam? I mean, you had seen that before, of course, as a kid.
It is something I had enjoyed as a younger man, and they had a little sign there saying the narration for the camp was done by a famous, I think, a WCCO personality.
Oh.
From back in the day, Cedric Adams.
Cedric Adams.
Pretty well-known voice.
Yeah, and Sourdough Sam's was more, they've got the life-size mannequins in there.
That's right.
It's funny, I didn't notice until this time that Sourdough Sam had lost an arm and a leg from an explosion.
He lost an arm and a leg when a sourdough barrel blew up.
Sourdough explosion.
So there he is, standing over the stove.
60s rock band.
And yeah, and he's got two. Well, apparently Sourdough Sam is as large as Paul Bunyan, right?
I believe
Wasn't
so,
that the
yeah.
impression?
Sourdough was good size.
Because he had two miniature, well, regular-sized men with lard strapped to their boots, and they were skating around the iron skillet.
Right.
One guy's pounding an anvil or something.
I think so. Somebody, the blacksmith, working hard on the anvil.
In the kitchen, apparently.
Right.
It's kind of.
Foley was the only man who could put shoes on Paul's blue ox, whose name was Big. They had to open a new iron mine every time he made a pair of shoes for Big.
I was always a little afraid of Johnny Inkslinger, the snoring mannequin in the lower bunk with his mouth open and chest rising and falling. Kind of creeped me out a little bit.
Paul's men slept as hard as they worked. Johnny Inkslinger, the camp's head clerk, is sleeping in the bunk. He invented bookkeeping about the same time that Paul invented logging.
Boy, anybody who can sleep through blacksmithing is impressive. That to me that's incredible.
So you see, there's never a dull moment here at Paul's logging camp. Thank you, and have fun in our park, and do come back often.
We got to see the animated lumber camp.
All right.
I'm making Bjorn fork over $1 worth of quarters to see these.
A dollar well spent. All right, here we go.
Timber, timber, timber. This familiar sound is so typical of the old-time lumber camp. You're looking at a replica of Paul's operation on the Big Onion. This model was originated in our neighboring state of Wisconsin and came from Wausau. Mr. Hendricks, who made it, spent a whole year perfecting its operation.
You know, it really spoke to me as a guy who spent a lot of years as a very small kid trying to build train sets and small worlds, you know.
Right.
I made this. Look, it's got a train station and there's a gas station and all this kind of stuff. Well, that was nothing compared to the logging camp. It was just a lot of fun to watch all these, you know, humans in miniature going about their daily life around the logging camp on the Big Onion River, I believe, correct?
Oh, yes.
You'll notice Brimstone Bill, the head teamster, hauling a big load of logs to the mill pond for sawing. You'll see Sourdough Sam's cook shanty with a little chore boy carrying in wood for the cook stove.
And my favorite was I can't remember his name, but he's out in front of the employment office, and he's he's talking with a couple of interested lumberjacks,
Prospective
apparently.
lumberjacks or something.
And he's just got a little wisp of a beard there that just kind of opens and closes, and that's his animation. He's talking to
prospective loggers.
But we've got guys on the roof building a roof, and
Indeed.
and all kinds of fun stuff, and that has like virtually unchanged.
We hope you've enjoyed seeing Paul's helpers work. Come see us again soon. Thank you.
Very cool, yeah. And the player piano is actually one of those new touches I was talking about, and that's only arrived a couple of years ago. And so I happily put in my $1 worth of quarters for that to get a sampling of the music. Very
Piano
cool.
roll.
Very cool stuff.
Yeah,
But,
absolutely.
you know, like Lois had said, the Rademakers purchasing the whole amusement park became a no-brainer. I mean, it just fits so well into everything else that Dick and family has collected over the years. So after going through that, we just kind of strolled through, and we, didn't partake of any of the rides, like the little mini roller coaster or the.
Let the kids have their fun,
Yeah.
and we'll film them.
I think I did get a shot of you though, Bjorn, sitting next to the old cowboy, the cowpoke, sitting on the bench.
I had to. There's a family photo from me at probably 1976, sitting next to that same cowboy, and I thought, let's reenact.
Yes, indeed.
Tradition.
Yeah, and a big Ferris wheel, as I mentioned. That Lois said I think that's one of the fastest Ferris wheels around, and probably another reason that I don't climb on that with Molly and the two girls. The three of them go, and I stay on the ground and take pictures.
Appreciate the heights from the ground.
Yes, it's like, wow, that must be a great view up there, and they can tell me all about it when they get back. So there's also that mine shack, that magnetic mine shack.
Right. Everything's just a little different.
That's right. The
Gravity acts
pull.
strange.
Yes.
Ever been here in the original magnetic mine?
Oh, yeah.
This mining shack was built during the early days of the Cuyuna Range. But due to the magnetic power of the ore, it was abandoned. A trip in will show you why. Yeah.
Wow.
You will find a well deep in the center of this mining shack with a stream of water running uphill, not down. By the way, we defy you to drop a coin in the well without hitting the walls. This strange force will even pull a coin, and we all know that coins are not affected by regular magnetism. Yes, you will see these and many more strange phenomena that occur in the magnetic mine shack.
It is kind of cool. You walk in and you're feeling like all out of balance. Interestingly constructed.
So pull the rope, ring the bell, and witness for yourself the strange phenomena of the magnetic mine shack.
We walked by that and waved to Pyrite Pete.
There was Pyrite.
Howdy, partners! I'm up here in the window of my mine shack.
Up in his window, inviting us in down to the old mine shaft. We didn't go in, but I do have memories of that, of course, when I was 10. For some reason, that alone inspired me to go back home after the end of the summer and plan my own sort of haunted house tour thing in my parents' garage.
I'll be seeing you down there in the old mine. So long for now.
And then it was time to pass through into the Pioneer Village.
Village.
What did Lois say? They've got like 30-something buildings.
All kinds of buildings
that contain...
each with its own theme.
Yeah.
Full of collectibles that Dick Rademacher has pulled together over the years of just collecting things. He's amassed quite a body of work there. It's impressive, to say the very least.
Just out of curiosity, do you have a prize, like the first thing you collected that was really...
Probably Model Ts.
Model Ts.
I got a 24 Model T Coupe.
Oh, okay.
It was kind of the start of the whole thing, of course. But I find another one or another one. And
so how many Model Ts have you got?
I got about 3 or 4, but...
Okay.
I see you've got Muriel Humphrey's golf cart.
Yeah. It really is, too.
Wow.
Go golfing with the former Minnesota's First Lady.
Wow.
Outstanding.
I mean, this is how stuff happened. You just run across it, And, and it's a history thing. And
the combination of Pioneer Village and Paul Bunyan is perfect. So.
Yeah, I had this all going. And then Paul Bunyan come up for sale.
Right. Okay.
And I went in actually to look at that big log building right there. The big super log building. I need that for my farm deal out here with a sawmill and all that stuff inside for thing. So we went in and checked on it, and I don't know what the hell happened, but we bought the whole frickin' park.
That's what Lois was saying. All of a sudden, we owned the whole thing.
Oh, my God.
That's excellent.
As a kid who grew up going to 2 different farms and seeing old, John Deere and Massey Ferguson tractors sitting out and slowly rusting away. I mean, it used to just sadden my dad. Oh, man, I wish Grandpa would put this back in the shed. I know he doesn't use it anymore, but... And then he'd have to start the thing, and there'd always be that coffee can over the exhaust pipe, just so rain didn't get into the engine block. And you ready for this? And he'd start the tractor, and boom, fire that coffee can 20 feet in the air. Wow! And there they were. I mean, he had. Funny thing being, he had them all in a huge kind of pole barn with really powerful I-beams kind of supporting the roof.
Yes.
And as we all know from this past winter, it was...
a lot of snow.
It was not to be believed. This was one for the books. This was one for the books. And Dick told us that he had all the tractors lined up out on kind of the main road of Pioneer Village. Because the snow had actually bent these big I want to say he said 8-inch I-beams.
Yeah.
Steel I-beams, and they had just collapsed under the weight of all that snow.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, yeah, Dick, man, you might have like 7 or 8 tractors out here. And we turned that corner. It's like I've never seen so many antique tractors. And vintages going way back, steam-powered machines. And then the ones I remember with the steel seats and the big metal, gear shifters and everything, and requisite amounts of rust and all that. But he's done a great job of keeping them up. I mean, how many tractors were lined up there? It was 30?
At least.
35, 40? It was crazy. And then he had a like number that just kind of sat out in the field with some older cars. Yeah. And, riding lawnmowers and things like that. When Dick said, well, I collect pretty much everything, he wasn't lying. Right. I mean, that was impressive. He even had, there was a Ford Model T, I believe, or was it a Model A?
Model A.
That had been used. Disney.
Well, the Model T is what was used in Disney's Iron Will.
The movie Iron Will by Disney.
Then Disney got a hold of me.
Oh, really?
Iron Will, right?
Iron Will.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I had actually 4 vehicles in the movie.
Oh.
That Model T Coupe was one. Then I had a big 4-wheel farm wagon that they needed for their horses, and so they used that. And I had a Model T truck with a grain box on it.
Okay.
And they used that. So they used 4 of my vehicles up there. And I thought to work with Disney was once in a lifetime.
Sure. Yeah.
So I bent over backwards as I helped them as much as I could. And we had to take them up to Duluth.
And then he explained how they built a train depot.
Train depot for that particular town.
He explained how he asked them if he could have it.
The depot on the far end was built by Disney.
Oh. They built it.
Yeah. Okay. They built it up in Morgan Park in Duluth. And I said, for the use of my vehicles, I'll just take the depot.
Oh, okay.
Well, they didn't really want to do that. They just soon get rid of it and then it's gone. But
oh, really?
They finally called me up one day and said if I wanted to come and get it. So I went up and took 4 trucks and 7 guys, and we tore it all down and put it all on a trailer and hauled it down here.
Wow. Rebuilt it.
Rebuilt the thing.
That is a man determined. I mean, 4 trucks to go and pick up this. I mean, it's a sizable depot building structure. It's just it's pretty cool.
Boy, the old cars just blew my mind, but especially those gravity pump gas pumps he had. The old service station kind of stuff he had. The DX signs and the Skelly signs and all these different things and oil cans. All these kinds of things from a gas station around about the 30s, 40s, 50s.
Right.
I don't know that in my lifetime we ever pulled into a gas station where there was still a gravity pump in use, but there they were. I'm a history guy, so just to see those, and then the old school ones as well. And even in that shed where he had that pristine Model A, he had some of the old lights from the tops of the old gas pumps that they would. I don't know why that stuff just really, really catches my imagination, but to see those things was very cool. And of course the tractors were amazing, all those tractors. But there were 2 places we walked into, Fudd, where I was just like, wow, this is cool. One was the old sort of dentist's office.
Yes.
With the old chair and the old wheelchairs, but they had the dental tool.
Yeah.
I know, powered toothbrush, but all I can picture is a drill.
Yes.
And lots and lots of cables.
Yeah.
And my sisters talked about going to a dentist's office back in Annandale in like the 50s, 60s, and how they were still using one of those. And
wow.
They'd really get going on one of your teeth, and you'd see the smoke coming off those cables, and the whistling and the whining, and he's like, strap yourselves in and grab the arms of that chair, because, oh my, it's like straight out of a horror film, And then the other one that really, really worked for me was the soda fountain. Going into that place, and kind of a soda fountain meets bar room. He had old keg lines all hooked up, or taps.
Yeah.
But then all these different sodas and soda ads from back in the day, and things about the food. There was even a sign, something like, we serve cold food and warm drinks. Come on in,
Well, and even he had beer bottles on a shelf, and then later Dick told us that there's actually beer in those.
Right.
Like they've never been opened.
Right.
Wow. I mean, he is like the collector's collector. I mean, man.
All I could think was just walking through there was like, if you've got a love for things from the past, or you're an antique aficionado, you owe it to yourself to get there and just, you could spend hours.
Yeah,
and hours just walking around.
It just occurs to me that my family and I will go. In fact, even my younger daughter, for some reason, likes antique shops, and she at least used to in the last couple of years like to just buy little things, just little trinkety things.
Piece of the past.
But I find myself, I love walking into antique stores, but after about 20 minutes, half an hour, it's like, all right, I'm done.
I'm ready
but
to
it's
go.
a whole different experience in Pioneer Village. You're there, and they really like sort of bring it back to life somehow. I mean, they've got dozens of these cabin structures, and each one has sort of the dentist office, and there's even one, we stopped in one that was like an old-time Christmas tree room, like old toys. And
old games.
Laurel and Hardy checker game or something in the corner. And
standing Christmas tree with ornaments on it.
It looked, like 1930s era.
Yep.
And there was a little section where all these wooden toys with a little sign saying, made by Dick Rademacher, and the kind of toys that you look at and you think, oh, this is what our grandparents told us when I was your age, I made my own toys with wood and string and things like that. So, yeah, this was it. But like I said, you don't get tired of it really. Maybe it's out in a nice summer day and you're traveling from one place to the next, and
you're not in a hurry. There's no place to get to.
Yeah, and everything is just fascinating. And no, for me personally, it doesn't make me want to collect anything, but because you're there knowing that this stuff isn't for sale, and do I want it or not? You're just like, holy cow, look at this.
Enjoy it.
And all those coffee cans he had. He had like 3 dozen different coffee cans
from back in the day. Stuff you won't see on the shelves at Cub or Hy-Vee or any place like that.
Right. And your mention of the old gas pumps kind of reminds me. It's such a refreshing change to, pumping gas these days, listening to perhaps the Gas Station Podcast Network.
Absolutely.
And you're getting updated on the latest this and that and whatever, but not to sound like a couple of aging farts here. Oh, geez, now they got the video going and coming on. I just want to
hit from Oliver Spalt and his over-under orchestra.
Yeah, so that was a lot of fun, and I didn't have any doubts that you'd enjoy that part, perhaps a little bit more than the old.
It was
Paul
great.
Bunyan area.
It was great, and I kind of mentioned to Lois too. What I like about Paul Bunyan Land is that it is a place aimed at maybe the younger kids that don't need to be on a 15-story roller coaster that's going to go in reverse at 80 miles an hour and spin you upside down. If you got younger kids, it's perfect, absolutely perfect, and. I don't know. It was just impressive. It was good to see the state of modern affairs with Paul Bunyan Land.
Keeping it going, and you can create new memories with your younger kids, and of course enjoy the old ones yourself. And
especially if you're a younger family. And what I liked is we got there kind of early, so we weren't bothering them, taking up their time as things really got hopping. And then as we were, sadly we had to they had a lot of work to do. We sort of slid out under cover of.
Right.
I would say darkness. It was about 1 PM.
Right.
The sun was shining,
Right.
But they were great hosts, and it was a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to ask questions about the history and see the modern state of affairs and how well they've kept it up and improved it. And then to walk back out to the car, and the lot was full. Yeah. I was like, good. It's excellent to see that people know, and they come to see it, and they come to enjoy it, and make a day of it. So.
Well, good. Yeah, it's good time for all, and it's good to be at a place where you know that the people running it really are enjoying themselves and continuing to be creative about how to keep it going and be fun for people.
Well, Fud, this seems like a pretty good time to take a short break and hear a word from one of our sponsors, and then we will come back and look at some of the could-be, would-be future episodes of Cabin Country, what might be awaiting you in the very near future. So we'll be right back after this word. The late summer sun starts going gold earlier as the early autumn begins to appear, but why not hang on to summer just one more day with a visit from good old Lloyd?
So good to be back with you all. I'm Lloyd. It's that time of year where the heat index rises for late summer afternoons and then begins to cool in the evenings with fall looking in from the edges of the woods. Thoughts of buffalo plaid and duck blinds begin to creep back into my thoughts. Thermos of hot coffee and early morning bass fishing while the sunrise burns the mist off the Gull River. But my friends with school kids remind me that talk of the end of the summer brings a gnashing of teeth and open revolt in many households. So some of my city friends and I set up a last lazy paddle down the waters of Minnehaha Creek. Now, I didn't realize that the Minnehaha will provide a full day's kayak ride from the far western suburbs through to the roaring white water of Minnehaha Falls on the fringes of Minneapolis. Well, I loved the idea and immediately gave it the Lloyd seal of approval. But wondered aloud with my friends about the access to hydration on a long sunny day's paddle. There's 6 to 7 hours of time on the water, I understand, and I'm not that familiar with the creek's run. Well, rest assured, they told me, there are plenty of places to pull ashore. But better yet, they'd have some friends at various footbridges along the creek dropping down bottles of water or any of our favorite libations. This sounded too good to be true. I was even promised a wonderful evening at one of Minneapolis's most acclaimed dining spots after completing our kayak run. Let's hear how it went.
We're coming up on a footbridge, Lloyd, where our first drink drop will take place. The creek's a little higher this year, Lloyd, so watch your head. Thanks, Pat. Your choice, Lloyd. Bottle of cold water or maybe a sparkling cider?
Wow, concierge service. Well, this is my kind of paddling.
Another drink drop coming up, Lloyd. Look alive. Get ready to catch what they're dropping.
All right. Oh, well, got it. A little more than I bargained for here, Joe. I got some water, and they dropped a wrapped sub sandwich, too. I wasn't ready for that.
6-inch or a whole foot long, Lloyd?
The whole thing, Joe.
Sorry about that, Lloyd. Stay sharp. That shouldn't happen again.
I'm seeing movement down that footbridge, Joe. Heads up, kids. The creek is running high here. Is that our next water drop?
You got it, Lloyd. Good eye. We're over halfway through our paddle. This should be our last drink drop.
Okay, good Lord, it's a picnic ham. Oh, what the?
Don't forget the side dishes, Lloyd.
Canned goods? My word. Oh, those are number 10 cans, Joe. Is this some kind of a joke? And that's a case of soda. Joe, I'm taking on water. Mayday! Hey, that's an entire watermelon.
It's coming in hot.
Turns out they were shooting some new type of outdoors candid camera type YouTube show. Guess I kind of got messed with, as the kids would say. Anyway, good day's paddle until the bulk of foodstuffs started raining down. Well, be sure to join us on good old Lloyd next time. And who knows, maybe I'll be a YouTube star by then. Hey, Joe?
You bet, Lloyd. That's Lloyd. Good old Lloyd.
Now back to Bjorn Lloydstead and Fud Klugman on Cabin Country.
So it's just kind of a recap of hours of entertainment courtesy Lois and Dick there at the new location, not so new anymore, I guess, of Paul Bunyan Land and Pioneer Village, and all the events they have there and host there, and the beautiful condition of the place, and just getting better all the time. We thank them again for the opportunity to see it, walk those grounds, and get the insider's view. That was very special, to say the least. Upcoming podcast episodes might include, and are not limited to, I was given the opportunity to join Captain Dave Stricker of many a Apostle Islands sailing cruise. He is now part of the board, I guess you could say, of Tofty, Minnesota's Minnesota Commercial Fishing Museum.
Very cool.
And you might say to yourself, well, now what's that all about? And honestly, it's a great sort of slice of history of a way of life that is kind of hard to explain. Guys came over from Scandinavia, basically, and relocated up near the Tofte area and practiced their traditional fishing techniques on Lake Superior. Going out on Lake Superior in an 18-foot boat and setting gill nets and fishing for Lake Superior herring, whitefish, trout when they could be had. And some of the kind of unpredictable aspects of Lake Superior makes for some really interesting stories coming out of the Minnesota Commercial Fishing Museum. And what a beautiful location. Tofte, very close to the shore of Lake Superior, north of the whole Duluth area. It was very, very beautiful and a lot of fun. And we've got some great information there to share with you from the Minnesota Fishing Museum. And
Excellent.
also, I think, Fud, there's a field report from the Baxter Pillager area. Your family made another trip up to the Gull River area, and
it was
more shenanigans with the tracker.
Indeed.
Ongoing.
I've come up with this notion or this idea that year one of owning a new big boat, I feel like for the first year you don't own this boat, it owns you. It's amazing how, even though I was all ready for it, and
go flawlessly.
And of course it hasn't. And my poor van, in fact, the other day, my wife Molly was pointing to yet another dent I haven't even in the car that I hadn't seen before. It's like right on the passenger side. Everything's on the passenger side.
Of course.
So obviously my skills of maneuvering a big boat on a trailer with this minivan on my dad's lot
through the backwoods of
all the cabins,
Baxter Pillager area.
It was tough.
Weaving through the trees.
There was plenty entertaining events of that trip involving the boat, so I'll save that for the next episode here.
Possible adventures with the chainsaw and your dad.
Oh, yes. Right. Yes. Doesn't even have to be a tree, just thick brush. If I back into it, it'll just scrape off part of the fender or something.
Sure.
Only when I was relaxing towards the end of the trip, and I took a picture from that favorite spot, or looking upriver, that beautiful view that I think we have. And there's the tracker at the dock. And I think, yeah, all right, it is good. I love having it, and the family loves it, and it's fun to be able to zip up and down the river, go down to the Crow Wing River in a matter of 10, 15 minutes, and things I have never been able to do before. And as my cousin Mike says, it changes your whole perspective on being on the river, and indeed it does. So we'll fill you in with more.
All a learning process.
Yes.
A learning process.
Yes,
and then
indeed.
something new and exciting for our loyal podcast listeners.
Oh, yes.
Something new headed your way, should you be interested. Lord knows we put the hurtin' on many a pot of coffee here on the podcast.
Yes.
And it wouldn't be Cabin Country without a full mug of hot coffee from our good friends at Mitt's. Well, that opportunity could be yours, as the new Cabin Country Podcast coffee mugs are now on the Cabin Country Podcast website.
Yay.
For sale.
Fabulous.
You can fill your own Cabin Country mug with your favorite blend, ideally a Mitt's offering, but whatever you decide to make a pot of and start your day with, or end your day with, or just continue your day with, like Fud and I.
Oh, yes.
Fill that beautiful mug. There's the gorgeous Cabin Country logo, and Fud and Bjorn working real hard with fishing rods and the beautiful Sea Maid, and pulling up a cooler full of something, good Lord. And that could be something you look at as you're sitting at work or sitting at home and thinking, boy, I like coffee. And I can almost pretend I'm on the shore or on the dock as I look at this mug and enjoy a steaming cup every morning, every afternoon, every evening, whenever you like to drink your coffee. It's there for you. So those are available now.
That's right. Yes, you can find them on. We do have a website. I don't know if we've mentioned this before, but we do have a website, cabincountrypodcast.com. And yes,
all those great episodes you want to hear are there,
right,
as well as the opportunity to invest in a Cabin Country mug.
That's right. Your coffee might taste a little bit better in a Cabin Country Podcast coffee mug.
Might, no question of it. Everything tastes better from a Cabin Country mug.
That's right.
Without a doubt. So,
Well, excellent. Well,
things to look forward to for Cabin Country Podcasts upcoming. Fishing Museum, ongoing legacy of Fud and how to get a boat out of the water properly without damaging the van. And,
yes.
All those fun things could be yours in the next few weeks on Cabin Country, but until that time, my name is Bud Grant. I used to coach the Minnesota Vikings and currently host an annual garage sale. My name is Bjorn. Good Lord.
Who are you?
I don't even know.
Who is that fellow
well,
over
that's
there?
Fud Klugman over there.
And you're Bjorn Lloydstead.
I sure am Bjorn Lloydstead, and will continue to be until who knows when. And we'd love to hear you join us again through the cabin door on the next episode of the Cabin Country. And until that time, we'll keep the coffee pot going and hope you'll keep listening. See you next time.
Hi everyone, I'm Paul Bunyan. Have a great day everyone.